Hi, I'm Jules Mitchell. Welcome to UDAYA.com. Today's class is called Caged Wisdom. It's about your ribs. So my little tagline for it is, don't let your ribs cage you in. This is about getting mobility throughout the thoracic region of your spine, getting mobility in the thorax, which includes the rib cage. And one of the best ways that I've found in my practice, and something I've been working on a lot lately, is breathing mechanics. So because your lungs obviously sit in the rib cage, and your diaphragm, which is your primary breathing muscle, attaches to the rib cage. And so when we breathe, the ribs should move. They don't always, and well, they do move, but they don't always move as well as they could, I should say. And so that's what we're going to look at today. We will be doing asana. It will be certain breathing techniques within asana, not just your ujjayi breathing, but different types of breathing in order to get more out of the poses. So don't expect to be sitting and doing breathing exercises for very long. We'll just do that to introduce some of the concepts. Okay, so what you'll need today for class is a blanket to sit on. It's not required, but it's going to be more comfortable. A couple blocks if you have them around. If not, you can just grab a book or make something around the house work. And then we have a bolster because we're just going to do one nice restorative pose at the end. So anything that you have, you could use a couple blankets or a pillow or something. You can even use a rolled up mat if you need to. So once you get all those things, come back and join us. And then we'll all begin in a comfortable seated position. Rest your hands wherever is comfortable. And just gently close your eyes. And in this position, you can just sort of rock a little bit side to side on your pelvis and feel your sitting bones and see if you can find where you're sitting right on top of your sitting bones. So you can rock forward and back, side to side, and just get a little bit grounded in the center. If you're having a hard time finding evenness on both sides, maybe try recrossing the legs the other way and see what that does. And then start to observe your breath. Try not to change it. Just observe your natural breath. You can be breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, or in and out through the nose, whatever you prefer. And start to explore the shift, even however subtle, in position when you inhale versus when you exhale. So when you inhale, the front of the ribs, we call this the costal margin, the front of the ribs flare ever so slightly. And when you exhale, the front ribs close and your upper abdominals sort of pull them in and down ever so slightly. And if you start to deepen your breath, you'll get a little bit more of that experience. And then go ahead and open your eyes. If you want to change the cross in your legs, you're welcome to. Sometimes it's nice to mix it up a bit. And just take your hands and let's do a little bit of exploring and a little bit of an anatomy lesson. So I'm just putting my hands on my ribs. And you can feel sort of, you've got the side ribs and they come down somewhat low. But if you follow your ribs across to the front, you'll see that they come up to a point. Right? And that's what I referred to as the costal margin. And in the front here, we've got some very flexible material. The ribs are made out of cartilage up here. And where the costal margin comes to a point, in this, we've got this sort of tip right here, which is the bottom of what we call the breastbone, which is a long vertical bone called the sternum, and it sits here. And the ribs come in and attach to it. At the bottom of the sternum, we have this little pointed tip called the xiphoid process. I'll refer to it here and there, but for today's class, I'm going to refer to it as a pendulum. So at the bottom, imagine there was a little weighted diamond shape tip at the bottom. And so when we move, this pendulum can swing. So you can have your hands on your ribs if that's not comfortable because it requires some internal rotation of the shoulders. You can put your hands down. But I'm just going to ask you to explore. So let's do some lateral translation first. So let's shift the rib cage to the right. And you can feel the pendulum move a little bit. and then shift the rib cage to the left. And just go side to side. Again, you can have your hands wherever you prefer. And this is lateral translation. And this is sometimes what we work on in Trikonasana and triangle pose. And we'll visit that today, but then also how to use the breath to get just a little bit more. And then we have side bending. So you can come back to the center and you can side bend. This is lateral flexion. If you side bend, now the pendulum swings to the right. If you side bend to the left. And you can go side to side. So you're just shortening one side of the waist and lengthening the other side. And then we have rotation, right? So if you twist to the right, the pendulum is sort of turning, rotating, and then you can twist to the left. And you'll notice that these movements actually don't occur separately, and that's just because of the mechanics of the spine, because it's a curved, so the spine is not a rod, the spine is curved. And so therefore, the mechanics of curves are a little bit more complicated. So when we have side bending, we also have rotation. We move in these three planes. So you can just explore that. And then let's sort of put it all together. So again, you can imagine this pendulum is heavy, and you can sort of take the pendulum and draw a circle on the floor, the biggest circle you possibly can, so that you're going in a big circle and you're just moving the ribs. And if you find any areas of stuckness, you can pause and enjoy that for a moment and take a deep breath in. Whew. And exhale. And then if you've gone fully around a few times, then you can change direction. And you can let the hips and shoulders be involved. I'm fine with that. And again, you can pause in an area where you feel a little bit of stuckness. Take a breath in. And exhale. Good. And then just come back to the center. Pause for a moment. If you need to stretch out your legs a little bit, you can do that. You might not need to, but sometimes it feels good. And then cross them again. Maybe try crossing the other way. Now, what you'll do is you'll take your hands and you'll hold your side ribs here. We're going to do something called breathing in the round. If that's difficult for you, because this requires internal rotation of the shoulders, and many people find that difficult, you can take your yoga strap and you can just wrap it around the back of your ribs. So where your ribs come up in the front, they actually go down all the way in the back. And so you can then just take the strap, bring it to your ribs if some of you want to do that. You're welcome to. And then cross it once in front and hold like so. Okay, so you would just be, now you wouldn't have to internally rotate your shoulders. So I'm going to have some of you do that just because I don't want people at home to think that, they're like less than if they can't do this. It's very common. We just have a bunch of yogis here. Okay? And now what you're going to do is when you breathe in, if you're holding, you're going to fill up your thumbs instead of feeling only the front open. So when you inhale, you're going to breathe in the round and exhale. Everything comes back in. Keep doing that on your own. If you're holding the strap, you'll feel your back ribs push out into the strap all the way on the sides and the back. So that when we're breathing, we're not only doing a spinal hinge, right? But we're also breathing circularly. So the diaphragm concentrically contracts and moves out in 3 dimensions, right? And then it eccentrically lengthens as it comes up. You guys feeling that? Okay. You might find it's harder to get into one lung than the other. And so now we'll move into single lung breathing. So after your next exhale, try to breathe only into your left side. And it's subtle. I don't know if the camera can catch it. But right now, I'm breathing only into my left side. Now, yes, oxygen is going into both lungs. I understand that. But we're just awakening the muscles on the left side. And then try breathing into the right side. So you're getting your rib cage to expand a little bit more on the right side. And you might find that one side is a little bit harder than the other. And you might find that it puts some interesting mechanical forces in the ribs and the spine. And then return to breathing through both sides again. And so those are the concepts. You can bring your hands down, put the strap down, but those are the concepts that we're going to play with today in asana. We'll direct air more to one, even though it's not really the lungs per se, but to the muscles of that side, so that we can get a little bit more, sometimes translation, sometimes more rotation, by actually kind of filling up that space. So I look forward to exploring that. So let's get started by just coming onto our hands and knees. You can move the blanket aside. And let's just move through a few cat-cows. Go super slow. And connect to the pendulum, right? So what's happening when you go into cow pose is the pendulum starts to swing toward the ground. And when you go into cat pose, the pendulum comes back and swings toward your pubic bone. We call that your pubis, where the two halves of the pelvis connect. And you'll notice the inhale facilitates cow pose, and the exhale facilitates cat pose. But you could try to breathe the opposite way and see what happens. That's up to you. Good. And then come back into the center. And let's do just a little bit more of the rib movements here. So now you're going to use your arms, and you'll try to translate your ribs to the left and translate your ribs to the right. And do what you can to keep your pelvis stable, so you're not just moving the pelvis side to side, but you're actually moving the rib cage on the pelvis instead of the pelvis on the rib cage. And so once again, you'll feel that pendulum start to swing. It'll point toward your right hip bone when you go to the left, and it'll swing through the center and point toward your left as you go to the right. And you can synchronize the breath if you would like. And then you can try rotation. So you'll have to bend one elbow a little bit, and you'll feel the rib cage rotate somewhat. And then you'll straighten that elbow and bend the opposite elbow. And so now you're rotating and feeling the pendulum sort of twisting, or feeling the sternum twisting. And again, you can synchronize the breath, or you can pause and hold and take a couple breaths in an area where you feel a little bit stuck if you like that. Good. Excellent, you guys. And then come back into the center and push back into a child's pose for a moment. Put your knees together for this one. Sorry, come up, put your knees together, and just push back into a child's pose. You can grab a block and put it under your forehead if that's more comfortable. Because now you've got your thighs pressed against the front of your ribs. So now you have to breathe into the back a little bit more. You're breathing into the back and into the sides. And then stretch your arms out in front of you. You can keep the block there for a moment or move it to the side. Good. Reach, reach, reach with those fingertips. Nice. And then slowly make your way up into a downward dog. And remember the xiphoid, right, the bottom of that pendulum, can you bring that pendulum toward your pubic bone, toward your pubis? So the very upper inner thighs. So for some of you, that means you'll have to find a little bit more flexion to get there. And for some of you, that might mean you need to find a little bit more extension. Just keep it directed at your pubis here. And then take a nice breath in and exhale, come forward to plank. And inhale, go back to downward dog. And then exhale, come forward into plank. And inhale, go back to downward dog. And continue that. So this is a little bit different breathing than you might be used to. But the postures themselves lend themselves to this type of breathing, just if you look at the mechanics of breathing. Doesn't mean it's better or worse. Again, we want to be able to breathe in many different ways. But as you go into this exhalation and plank, it encourages more of a posterior tilted flexed position. Nice. 2 more like that. And then pause in downward dog. So we inhale to down dog and then take an exhale there. And then inhale, step your right foot forward into a lunge. Good. Exhale here. Inhale, step back to downward dog. Exhale here. Inhale, step your left foot forward into a lunge. Exhale. Inhale, step back to downward dog. One more time. Exhale here. Inhale, step forward, downward dog. Lunge. Exhale in the lunge. Inhale, downward dog. Stay here, exhale. Inhale, left foot forward. Stay here, exhale. Inhale, downward dog. Exhale here. Inhale, right foot forward. This time, exhale, come up to crescent. Inhale, hands down, all the way back to downward dog. One long inhale. Stay in downward dog, exhale. Inhale, step your left foot forward. Exhale, rise up to crescent. Inhale, hands down. Beautiful, everyone. Inhale all the way downward dog and exhale there. Inhale, right foot forward. Exhale, come up to crescent. So we're actually using the exhale. Stay here and take another breath in. But we're using the exhale to limit the back bend. Exhale again. And then inhale, hands down, all the way back to downward dog. Good. Exhale here. Inhale, left foot forward. Exhale, rise up to crescent. Nice. Stay here. Inhale. Exhale, feel those front ribs draw in and down. That costal margin draws in and down. Inhale, hands to the floor. Step back to downward dog. Good. One more time. Exhaling here. Inhale, right foot forward. Exhale, come up to crescent. Sorry. Inhale, hands down, all the way back, downward dog. Exhale there. Inhale, left foot forward. Exhale, rise all the way up. Inhale, hands down, all the way back to downward dog. Pause in downward dog. Actually, pause in child's pose. Bring your knees down. Everybody's really happy for that. Bring your knees together for this one. Put a block under your head if you'd like. Again, observe the breath and observe how the body and the rib cage particularly move with the breath. Stretch your arms out in front of you. Come back up to downward dog. Once again, connect with the pendulum, right? Find the xiphoid reaching toward the pubis. And now very slowly and deliberately, stretch that right leg up behind you, paying attention to how the pendulum wants to shift. Can you keep it in line with the pubic bone? So that now you're not just letting your body shift over. You have to work with your arms to keep the ribs from laterally translating. Yes? Good. And put the foot down. I know we all have bolsters behind us. I'm helping you move them. Let's try the left side. So again, connect, find yourself centered, go nice and slow, and lift the left leg without letting the ribs sort of move side to side. Ribs can move side to side, of course. That's not a terrible thing. But we want to be able to let the ribs move and not let the ribs move. We want to be able to move in many different ways. And then go ahead and put the leg down. Center yourself again. Step your right foot forward. Grab your blocks. You don't need blocks if you're at home. You can just be on your fingertips. But we have blocks here, and I know these girls, these ladies and gentlemen, and I know that they like to use the blocks. Makes life a little easier. So same thing here. We've got a split leg position. So naturally we'll want to shift to one side. So just look out in front of you on the floor, like at the front of your mat. You don't need to be looking out to the front of the room or anything. Be strong on your arms. Be strong on your legs. And again, use the breath and allow the pendulum to kind of find the center point. So you're using the movement of the ribs to find so the xiphoid can find the pubis. And then take a couple breaths in and out, breathing in the round, feeling the side ribs expand and the back expand, all while you're still trying to stretch the spine forward. And now, can you try to bring a little bit more breath into the right side? Because that right side is really compressed in this position, right? So the air will want to naturally, the ribs on the left side will naturally want to expand more. So just experiment with it. Can you use the exhale to bring those left ribs down toward the pelvis? And then use the inhale maybe on the right side, just to get a little bit of a shift in the spine and the ribs. And then move the blocks aside, step back to downward dog. Step your left foot forward. Come up onto the blocks. This side is going to be different, I promise you. Find yourself in your lunge. Legs are strong, so the pelvis isn't collapsing. And then first just breathe in the round. Couple breaths like that. Good. Expand on the sides more so you're not rounding your back. Good. That's it. Perfect. Good. And then now you're going to, on your next exhale, use the exhale to draw the right ribs to the pelvis and use the inhale to fill the left side where it's already a little bit somewhat shortened just because you've got the left hip inflection. And you might find in the beginning this is a little bit kind of detailed and specific, but you might find that you start to notice how you end up putting some rotational forces on the spine just through breathing. And then move the blocks aside, step back to downward dog. Inhale in downward dog and exhale to plank. Inhale to downward dog and exhale to plank. Inhale to downward dog. Exhale to plank, and then inhale all the way down to the floor and exhale into cobra. So you're really finding your abs in the back bend, which is a very yogic concept, right? Good. Come down on the exhale. Good. Stay here, inhale, and exhale, come back up. Take a breath there. Exhale, come down for a moment. Good. Take a breath in. Exhale, come up, cobra. Nice. Good. Push back into child's pose when you're ready. Legs together. So when I say breathe in the round, I don't only mean breathe backwards in the round. I mean breathe in 3 directions. So you're breathing side, breathing front, even though you've got a little bit of pressure there from your thighs, but you can still feel your ribs expand into the thighs. and also into the back. And then make your way up to downward dog when you're ready, stretching your arms forward. So make your way up to Warrior 2 on the right side. So you'll just step forward, and then you can either go through crescent or you can turn the back foot flat and just come up to Warrior 2. And then we'll come into side angle from there. So bring your forearm to your thigh, and your left arm can either go straight up or it can go onto your hip if you want. And what you'll feel here is that the pendulum naturally wants to swing to the left, because your body will want to find the path of least resistance. So can you take the pendulum and can you swing it more toward the right? So you're doing a little bit of lateral translation there. Excellent. If you need to facilitate that with the breath, you can. So you can get a little bit more breath into the right side. Exhale, feel the left ribs reach down to the left pelvis into the left heel. Excellent, you guys. Inhale, fill that right side. Right waist gets longer, swinging the pendulum more toward the right. Good. Exhale, ribs, left ribs all the way down into the pelvis, into the heel. Nice. Come up to Warrior 2. And bring your hands down and step back to downward dog. How was that? Do you guys feel that? Yes? Okay. Let's do the left side. Left side forward, come up to Warrior 2. Settle for a moment, and then we'll come into side angle. So elbow to the thigh. Arm can go up or to the hip. Great. So we a lot of times talk about lateral translation, so where we'd move the right ribs to the left side, but we're going to go a little bit more specifically here and use the breath or the pendulum imagery. So swing the pendulum toward your left. Yes, yes, yes. Inhale into the left side. Exhale, right ribs down, down. Nice, 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 nice. To the pelvis. Keep that position. Inhale, fill up the left side more. Good. Exhale, right ribs down, and keep this down, and just breathe on this side if you can. Nice. Good. Come up to Warrior 2. And bring your hands down to the floor and step back to downward dog. Take a breath in. Exhale to plank. Inhale all the way down to the floor. Exhale into cobra. Inhale, push back, child's pose on the exhale. Good. Reach your arms forward. Come up to downward dog. We're going to do that same thing with triangle. Anna, I'm going to use you again, and we'll try to catch this for the viewers at home. So right side comes forward, Warrior 2. And then from Warrior 2, straighten the leg, bring the back foot in a little bit, Trikonasana. You might need to use your blocks. I'm going to put this on the inside for you. Nice. So we're going to capture this, yes? Okay, so find that pendulum, which naturally wants to swing to the left, and try and swing it just a little bit more to the right. Beautiful. And then the inhale goes into the right side. And the exhale, you feel those left ribs draw down and reach to the pelvis all the way into the heel. So you're really grounding. It's like you're standing. Inhale, right side fills. Exhale. Nice. This is beautiful. I hope we're catching this. Inhale, right side fills. Keep the left side down if you can. Excellent. Exhale. One more time. Inhale, right side fills. Keep the left side down. Good. Exhale, left side down. Beautiful. Back, bend the knee, come up to Warrior 2. And bring your hands down, step back to downward dog. Left side forward. Up to Warrior 2, and then Trikonasana. Grab whatever blocks you need. Nice. Oh, good example here. So pendulum not only swings down to the left, but also finds that pubic bone. So with Yohai, the pendulum likes to point forward a lot, yeah? So he has to really work, and he can use the exhale to bring these ribs down somewhat. And then he's going to inhale, fill this left side, and he's going to exhale, bring these right ribs down. Nice. Keep that position, inhale, so you keep building on top of it, and exhale, beautiful. One more time, inhale, left side fills, exhale, right side, beautiful. Increases the stretch in the legs, doesn't it? Bend the knee, come up to warrior two. Hands down to the floor, step back, downward dog. You're inhaling to downward dog, yes? From here, exhale, come forward into plank. Inhale, lower all the way to the floor. Super, super slow. We'll do this in our next class. Exhale, come up to cobra. Inhale, push back onto your knees, and exhale into child's pose. Great. One more posture, and then you get some nice restorative child's pose. How's that sound? Okay, so you're going to need both of your blocks at the top of your mat here. So you might just want to, wherever they are, just put them at the top. If you're at home and you don't have blocks, you can just use like a seat of a chair for this. We're going to do like a supported warrior three. You can even use the wall if you want, or a kitchen counter, back of your couch, whatever you've got. So come back to child's pose after you've set your blocks up there. Stretch your arms forward, come up to downward dog. Okay. Again, find the pendulum. So the pendulum is reaching toward the pubic bone. So this is going to actually help you find whatever, if you just need a little extra cat or a little extra cow in the posture, this imagery will help you find that. And then stretch your right leg up behind you without shifting. Nice. And then step that foot forward into a lunge. Find your blocks, and you'll come up to warrior three on that right side. Bring your blocks forward. So it's like a supported warrior three. Your blocks will go out probably off your mat, unless you're like Christina in the middle of her mat. She planned this well. Good. And then here in warrior three, you can be on the highest level of the blocks, please. No reason to make it more difficult. That back leg is lifting, and you're still doing the same thing. You're still trying to find that pendulum reaching toward the pubic bone. So there's a connection there. You might need to find a lot more strength in the arms, because you might have remember the cat-cow that we did? We were trying to translate the ribs sideways, and you were using your arms. You might need to find some of that. One more breath here. Exhale, step back into a lunge. You can leave the blocks where they are, bring your hands down, and step back to downward dog. Center yourself again. And then without shifting over, without the ribs, without you side bending or translating, see if you can lift your left leg. Then step it through between the hands, nice and slow with control. Walk your hands forward, find your blocks. Warrior three variation. Excellent. Nice. Great. Good, Marla. Perfect. So find the xiphoid reaching toward the pubis, so you're using the pendulum imagery. See if you can challenge yourself with lifting your leg a little bit further if it's kind of low without losing that. Excellent. Use the strength of your arms if you need to. One more breath in. Exhale, reach back, step back into a lunge. Good. Hands down, downward dog. On your next exhale, come forward to plank. Inhale all the way down. Nice. Exhale, cobra. Inhale, lower down. Move your blocks out of the way. And rest. Just make a pillow with your hands. From here, just turn around on your back. If you have any props near you, just kind of move them out of your way so you can bring your arms into a T position. You can have the palms up if you prefer. That's a little external rotation. You might enjoy the stretch across the chest. We're going to do some kind of core stuff. So you might find it's easier to turn the palms down because you might have a little bit more stability. It doesn't really make much difference to me. If when you're lying here on the floor, those back ribs where you had your hand or the strap in the beginning of class, if those back ribs are lifted off the floor somewhat, then this would be a good time to grab your blanket and put it underneath your head or even your shoulders. Lift your shoulders a little bit. Yep. Lift your head. So with Matt, I just gave his shoulders a little lift, and then I actually took the top part of the blanket and folded it over again so he had a little bit of head support. This helps you get your ribs down. Yo, hi. So from here, bend your knees up to 90 degrees. So your hips are at 90 and your knees are at 90. Squeeze your legs together. Lift your head. Okay. And slowly take your legs over to the right. Pause. So you've just rolled a little bit on your sacrum. Don't drop over. It's not a big twist. You're holding your legs here. Yes. Good. So on the exhale, feel your left ribs draw down. Yes. Nice, Melissa. Keep them down. Inhale into the right side. Exhale, left side down. Good. Roll back into the center. Roll over to the other side, just somewhat. So you've got to carry the weight of the legs. Excellent. You'll notice that the right ribs will want to pop off the ground. Everybody feeling that? That's what wants to happen. So go to the point where you're somewhat challenged, but not to the point where you've lost it completely. Take a breath in. On the exhale, the right ribs will draw down. Yep, they'll stabilize you. Good. And then you can try to inhale on that left side if you want, you'll feel the right abs quite a bit, yeah? She's like, get away from me. And come back into the center. One more time, right side. You'll feel sort of the left side of your abs will want to lift, and you really have to work to stabilize, and you can use the exhale to facilitate that. Beautiful. And then you can go to the other side when you're ready. Nice. And then come back into the middle, and you have an option here to do one more time right and left, or to straighten your legs, so that will increase the load, and do it with straight legs. But you'll stay at hips 90. So Marla, bring your feet closer to you. Yep, straight legs. Yep, this way. There you go. Yep. Same thing. So now you've created a longer lever. The legs are heavier, so there's more effort to be done, right? You have to work a little bit harder. And then come back into the center. We don't have a very adventurous group here. They're like, no way. Do the left side. Is that a crack in your back I just heard? Chelsea just got an adjustment. I totally heard that. Nice. And come back to the center. Good. Put your feet down and rest. Flop your feet down, I guess. Pull your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. You can draw a few little circles, massaging your lower back on the floor. Good. Roll over to your side when you're ready. Grab your bolster. And you're going to place the bolster between your legs and come into child's pose. Here we got Melissa. She's eager. She's been wanting this. She saw that we were doing restorative child's pose. If you need a little bit more height, you can use your blanket. I'm not going to give Yohai this version. Just so you guys know, we will film a child's pose restorative version for Yohai. Later, maybe on 2 days, we'll do that. So, because this is just a super challenge for him, and he needs like 30 props to do this pose, but we can actually make it happen, and it's fantastic. So I'm just going to let you want to try it this way? Okay. I was just going to give you a different pose. Okay, you're going to lie on your back and do knees to chest. Yeah, much better. And I'm actually going to put your feet on here so you can be restored and just hang out. How's that? Yes. So it's a similar shape for Yohai, and it works. And it's actually great how we do his restorative child's pose, but we use really like 5 bolsters and build a whole thing for him, and then he can actually relax. It's just we don't have time in today's class for it. Turn your head to one side, or keep your forehead down, whatever you prefer. Matt, will you lift up? You're going to take this, put it on top of your bolster, save a little more height. Excellent. And then we'll give you a little more height here. Not take the block away. It's not good for your neck. That's good for now. Tuck your chin, turn your head to the other side. Allow the breath to just be natural, so you're no longer trying to direct it any which way. And if you're at home and you want to stay here before going into Shavasana, you're welcome to. I'm going to allow everyone here to tuck their chin, bring their forehead down so the back of the neck is long for a moment. And then slowly press up with their hands, slide the bolster away. Good. And come down into Shavasana. You can put the bolster under your knees if you'd like. Yohai's already there. He was set up for that. So what we're going to film with Yohai, you'll find that under teaching tips. I have a category of teaching tips where we look at one posture, and then we look at how 3 different people need 3 different setups. And we do that for active poses and restorative poses. So look for that if you're interested in variations of child's pose. Otherwise, while you're here, enjoy the rest. Again, don't worry about the breath, just let the breath come naturally. Chances are that you've ignited some change in your just unconscious breathing patterns just by directing your breath for so long. And I hope to see you next time on UDAYA.com. Thanks for joining us. Namaste.